Hi, welcome to our channel, Those Twins Who Knit. My name's Rachel.
And I'm Jessica.
And normally we like to use this space to talk about all the stuff we've been up to, mostly knitting wise, but today we want to go over some of our plans for this upcoming season.
Yes, and we're considering this upcoming season, I guess fall, but we're considering it like September, October, November. So we're kind of trying to think of the year in like 3 parts. So this would be our fall planning, but we actually skipped summer planning because I think we just
Got ambitious about spring, and then spring plans just kind of continued into summer without a lot of like new plans. It was just kind of like us finishing out spring for the most part. So
now it feels like we're finally in a place where we have new projects to talk about and new yarn to share. And I think for all of the projects we're going to talk about today, we actually either have yarn physically here or have it in the mail. So hopefully we'll have it really soon.
And we do have quite a few. We each picked out 6 projects, which is maybe not like impossible, but probably a stretch for both of us. So it is quite possible we won't get to all of these or won't finish all of them in the season. But we think that because we have yarn for them, that it is realistic we might get to a lot of these.
Yeah, at the very least, like maybe finish a few, maybe get some others cast on. We'll see.
Yeah. And if things change, that's okay too. This is mostly for inspiration, but it does feel good to have kind of a solid plan going into things.
Yeah. I'll start with what I'm wearing before we get into new plans. So this is a sweater that I made back in 2023. It's the Porcelain sweater by Lene, and I use the recommended Tynn Pure Gynt held together with the Mohair by Sandnes Garn. And I remember playing Yarn Chicken really bad with this sweater. I definitely ordered the recommended yarn, but for whatever reason, it just felt like I was cutting it really, really close. I did end up having enough yarn to finish the sweater, but it was like by yards. I did not have hardly anything left over, which was kind of nice from like a stash perspective, but I was getting real nervous on both the main color and the contrast color the entire time I was knitting it. So I'm glad it worked out well, but if you're one of those people that makes you a little bit nervous, maybe just know that going into it. I did knit the smallest size, and I love this sweater. Like it was kind of a pain to knit because you do have to knit stranded color work flat, at least for this top motif before you join in the round. But it's just so cozy and cute, and I just really love it for fall. And I really love this motif that has like the vine or like the plants going through it. I just think it's really pretty and just different than a lot of other sweaters that I've made before. So it's definitely one of my favorites.
I am wearing a sweater that Jessica actually knit, but has since lived with me for quite a while now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I think it lives at your house now.
And I kind of debated. I was like, this isn't really a fall color, but it's not a fall color, and it reminds me of a color that I'm working with. And I feel like maybe this is my Pinterest algorithm, but I feel like I've been seeing a lot of like what I would call a pistachio green for fall. That might not be an actual thing, but I'm just going to say that it is. And so I thought it would be cute to wear today. I don't know. Let me see what I can talk about since this isn't mine. I know that this is the Auer sweater by Sari Nordlund, which is a bottom-up construction. So you knit the body and the sleeves and then connect to make the yoke in, not a raglan, what would you call this type of?
It's almost like a compound raglan. Like it reminds me of a contiguous in the way that like you don't necessarily decrease even the way that you would. I feel like a lot of traditional raglans, you just do like an even decrease, like decrease every other row for
this has like decreasing stitches. Every row for a while and then every other.
Yeah, and then you kind of change like the cadence in which you're doing it.
And then you work up to eventually where you're going to decrease or do what's the word? There's like a seam here.
Yeah, there's like a 3 needle. I think it's a 3 needle bind off. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a Kitchener stitch, but you have like these extra stitches right here in the shoulder on both the back and the front, and so you like seam them together, and then that creates like the normal collar opening that you would like attach the folded collar to.
And when I knitted this, I was using a I think I was using a similar yarn, but this is an Isager.
I think it's the Alpaca one in their Mohair, but I'm not 100% confident on that. I have to go back and see if I added it to my Ravelry.
Something in my brain told me that I needed to go up a size compared. I think you knit the smallest size. And I was like, oh, I'll do the second size. And then maybe you were a little bit small in your gauge and I was right on or bigger. It came out really big compared to this one, and not in a cute oversized way, but in a I don't like the way this looks way. So I ended up frogging that sweater, but I've since been enjoying the pattern still by wearing yours. So
I honestly couldn't tell you if I got gauge with this sweater because there was a long time in my knitting career where I wasn't gauge swatching regularly. And so I really don't know exactly when I crossed over into making sure I hit gauge versus when I didn't. And I am just not sure on this sweater where that falls on this timeline. So if I ever made the pattern again, I would definitely have to re-swatch and see where I was at. And honestly, I like the way this fits so much.
Yeah, it's perfect.
If I got gauge and that gauge doesn't match this one, I may just go back to using whatever the pattern recommended, because that's what I typically did. If it said use US 6, I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I would just do that without necessarily thinking
put
about
a lot of trust into
I put a lot of trust. And sometimes it worked out and a lot of times it didn't. And I just don't know what I would have done with this one. And I haven't been great about keeping all of my swatches over the years. So who knows?
I like it. I'm wearing it today.
We'll transition into our actual fall plans. And the first one that I was going to talk about is yarn that I got at Flock Fiber Fest. So I did talk about this yarn in our latest podcast. This is the Hudson DK yarn by Newbough Yarn Co. It's part of their vintage campout collection, and it's 100% superwash merino in their DK base. And so I have already swatched. I've knit this little moss stitch swatch that will hopefully show up on camera here soon. I just love the Kelly green yarn. I just think it's the color is so pretty. And I'm thinking I'm going to knit the Svenson sweater by Jared Flood for Brooklyn Tweed. It's a sweater that I knit several years ago now. It was probably 2021 or 2022 when I knit it. And I knit it using the Brooklyn Tweed's Arbor. So it's 100% wool in the white colorway. I think it was called Hammock. And I love that sweater so much. So I've been wanting to make it again in another color just to have two variations of it. And I think this yarn would be really pretty for that. And the crispness of this yarn would just hold the cables really well. And I'm hoping that since I don't think I got gauge when I originally knit that sweater, I think it was for sure in that time period when I wasn't swatching super well. I'm hoping that by going up a needle size in this pattern and using a superwash yarn that's known to grow a lot over time, it'll fit just a little bit larger than the original one that I knit in white, just by making sure I have the right gauge and actually properly blocking it and all these things that I should have been doing originally. I probably would go up a full size if I could and make the second size instead of the first size. But when I bought this yarn at Flock, I didn't have a pattern in mind. And so I just bought 6 skeins, which is enough to make the first size, but is not enough to make the second size. So we're just gonna see what happens. I did do a little swatch, and because I'm not playing super yarn chicken, but I have only 30 more yards than what the pattern recommends. I didn't make a very big swatch. But I did get gauge going up one needle size, so this is on US 7 instead of the recommended US 6 for the main body pattern. The Svenson sweater does have two different versions. They have what's called the classic versus shaped, and I think a long time ago it used to be called men's versus women's, and they've since changed it to be more gender inclusive. So I tried to go back and find the version that I originally made to confirm which pattern I would have used, and also because I've made it before. I was oh, I surely have this pattern in my library somewhere, but it wasn't in my Ravelry and I couldn't access it using my current email. So I'm pretty sure that I purchased it through Brooklyn Tweed at the time, and I think I'm using a different email than what I had at the time when I originally purchased that pattern, and I don't have access to that email anymore. So I couldn't figure out how to get my Brooklyn Tweed library into my current like Ravelry library or anything like that. So I ended up purchasing the shaped pattern because I'm fairly confident that that's what I would have used. So that was kind of annoying that I ended up purchasing a pattern that I'm like, I know I used to own. I just couldn't figure it out, and I didn't necessarily want to like call a bunch of like support helplines to figure out either how to get back into my old email or how to get into my old like Brooklyn Tweet account, and I have no idea how to like verify that it's the same one. So long story short, I'm fairly confident that I would have purchased the shaped version and used that for the original version, but it was a tad frustrating and knowing that I had to like repurchase the pattern, and now I'm just hoping that it's the same one. But we shall see. It is a sweater that's knit like flat in pieces and then seamed afterwards, which is really nice from like a blocking perspective. I'll be able to like pin everything nice and neat and get things like really shaped the way I want to, which can sometimes be hard when you're knitting in the round. But from a construction perspective, I'm not looking forward to seaming it later. But it will be worth it, and it is usually nice that those seamed pieces hold their shape really well. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited to get started on this one and see how it starts looking once I get going.
This first project that I'll mention, I did mention it previously, so I'll just kind of breeze through it, but it is one that I have on my needles, so I can pretty much guarantee it will be a fall plan. And that is that I'm going to knit the Copenhagen cardigan by Petite Knit out of the Wandering Flock Mohair in the color Sky Blue, which is a flock purchase, if I can get it to focus. Purchase that we picked up when we were at Flock this summer, and I just fell in love with this really pretty blue. I did notice on our podcast that I thought this had a little more purpley undertone in the camera, like maybe it looks periwinkle, maybe. But I still really like it. I just thought it was funny because I was like, oh, it looks a little different
in real life.
camera.
It looks very, very blue.
Yeah.
Like sky blue is a very appropriate name for it.
I do think sky blue is a good name for this color. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I wonder what it will look like this time around. But it is very blue, and it's going to be a really simple raglan cardigan construction. I think it's going to be nice, just layer over things, maybe like a white dress or with jeans or just anything that I think it'll be nice to have in the wardrobe. Again, I don't think it's a super fallish color. I have a couple that are not like super autumnal, but I am okay with that. So yeah, really simple. I don't know if I have a ton more to add, but I'm excited about it. And this might be the one that's currently on the needles now.
The next sweater quantity that I'll talk about is several skeins of this Moonshine Fine by Juniper Moonfarm, and then the soft silk mohair from Knitting for Olive in the colorway navy blue. And I feel like they match perfectly. I'll hold them up so you can hopefully see, but I feel like they're a really good match for being different brands.
I feel like you couldn't have gotten me closer.
I don't think I could have. The Moonshine is so nice. I've never worked with this before, so I'm excited to swatch with it. But it is 30% baby alpaca, 30% wool, 25% nylon, and 15% silk. And it is so soft. Like, it is just so fun to touch. So I'm hoping that it knits up really well. I need to like actually wind it up so I can swatch for it. But I'm envisioning these two yarns being held together and making the Paul cardigan by Moreca Knits, which is a sweater that I feel like I've talked about, or a cardigan that I've talked about so much because I've just been in love with this pattern so much ever since the pattern came out. But I've been terrified of it because it uses a provisional cast on for the saddle shoulder sleeves. And I historically have not done great with provisional cast ons. I feel like they never look as smooth as they should. Like, I want it to be completely seamless when it goes from the shoulder into the sleeve portion. And I'm really scared about that. And I feel like that's been preventing me from casting on this sweater. But I finally decided to purchase yarn and commit to making it. I am a little tempted to like reverse engineer it so that instead of doing a provisional cast on and working from the shoulder up to the like middle of the neckline, the way that the sweater is constructed, I do the opposite and start in like the middle of the back and then work my way out to the shoulder by just reversing I don't think it'll be charted, but reversing whatever the instructions are.
That seems
So
like a lot of work. I think you can do a provisional cast on.
I know.
think
I
you
feel
can do
like
it.
at the end of the day, me learning to do a perfect provisional cast on or me reversing the pattern would be like the same amount of work. So
Yeah.
it's like, which do I want to commit to?
But also, I think that it's going to be okay either way because you're picking a very dark color and mohair, which is going to soften the stitch definition.
That's true. That'll help.
Like, I really think that even if it's not perfect, it will be okay with this yarn combination.
Yeah. I hope so.
I really think so.
We'll see. I'm not committed one way or the other. If anyone knows of any really good provisional cast on like YouTube videos or tutorials or anything like that, let me know because I've just been scared and yeah, I just haven't had good luck. I feel like every time I've tried in the past, like you can tell that it's a provisional cast on and it's usually been at like a neckline or someplace where there's like ordinarily a seam, so I don't really care because if it looks like it's like intentionally going to be there, like who cares? But in something like this where it's like a saddle shoulder, I would really want it to be seamless between where the shoulder meets the sleeve. So we'll see. But I am really excited about this cardigan. I just think the pattern is so beautiful and classic, and I think having it in navy would get a lot of wear. I think I would reach for it a lot. And I think once I get past whatever roadblock I decide to go down as far as the saddle shoulder part, I think the rest of it's just going to be like basic stockinette, and so that should be pretty easy and mindless, and I love a good back and forth cardigan, so we'll see. But that's kind of my current plans. I am excited to finally be committing to it because I have wanted this sweater for a long time.
The next plan I'll talk about is also a flock yarn project that I have planned. And the yarn that I'm planning on using is the Les Garçons. It's the British DK, which is 70% BFL wool and 30% Matcha wool, which is a non-superwash yarn from them, in the color Jill and Vincent. So if you can kind of see on there, it's like a marled yarn where Jill is one color and Vincent is another. And then they like combined the two together for this really nice marled yarn that I just absolutely fell in love with. I thought especially that it was really fun that it does read very neutral, but just that little bit of like kind of pinkish yarn was really cute. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how this works out, but I've not swatched with it yet or anything. But I'm planning on making the Darcy cardigan by Lene, and it's a pretty simple crew neck cardigan, which I also have another stockinette crew neck cardigan, but I really think that I need more cardigans in my life, so I'm okay with that. And I picked that pattern for a couple of reasons. The main one being that someone on Instagram messaged me to say, hey, me and a friend or two, I don't remember, bought the same yarn and that they were planning on knitting the Darcy cardigan. So they invited me to knit along with them. And I was like, absolutely, I think that's wonderful. And then I was looking at the pattern and just going, yeah, I think this would actually be perfect. Like, I don't know how they put that together, but I think the gauge is going to be great. I love that I'm going to be able to use this yarn with a stockinette and just let that marley yarn shine. And I think the construction's adorable. I'm really liking that crew neck. And so it just felt like the stars aligned. I don't have all the information yet because none of us are planning on casting on quite yet. I think everybody's got some works in progress that they are wanting to finish, but it was nice that someone reached out on Instagram and invited me to be a part of that. And yeah, it'll be fun to have like somebody online to knit along with and just kind of get to enjoy this yarn and knit it up with them.
I love the color of this yarn so much. The pink is so subtle, but so cute.
I really I feel like a couple years ago, the knitting community was really into marl stuff. Maybe when Petite Knit was doing her,
like melange.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never did it at the time. And now here I am with some marled yarn. So I'm very excited. I think it's really pretty.
The next sweater quantity that I have, we actually both have. So we'll kind of talk about this one together. And that is some Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Oatmeal, which I'll hold up so you can see it's like a nice, pretty beige. It's a pretty neutral color. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's warm tone, but it's not like super cool either. And then we also have the same yarn combo, but in the Bordeaux colorway. And so it's like this nice, like rich wine purpley color. And we were both planning to make the Rosie sweater by Lene.
I feel like as soon as we saw this, we both fell in love with that pattern. We actually ended up buying this yarn before the pattern even came out, which was partially due to our panic over the Knitting for Olive tariff situation. We're still kind of panicked. But we ended up ordering this yarn from Wool & Company so that way we could make sure that we had that in our stash ready to go because we really wanted to knit this. And I don't think we intentionally started out wanting to knit the exact same thing, but you added it to the cart and I was like, I really can't find anything that I would like better for this. I think that you really got a good combination there. And I like that it's kind of a like a little bit more in the reddish purpley, like the Lene example, her contrast color is brown. And I like that we have a little bit more of a rosy-ish color for that. I think that's going to be really cute.
I do love the brown, but something about the purple has just been speaking to me right now. And it's kind of nice that we're doing the same color because at the time that we knit, like you said, like we were just panicked over their
that we were buying.
Yeah, yes, at the time that we purchased it, we were panicked about them not shipping to the US anymore, and they've since kind of clarified that they will be shipping to stockists, but just no longer to US homes. But we didn't know any of that at the time, and so I ordered, I think was probably a little too much yarn for the sweater, and then you ordered what like might be borderline not enough. So between the two of us, like I'll probably have extra, and if you start playing yarn chicken, like you'll probably be able to steal my extra. So it works out that we ended up ordering the same colorway because since the pattern wasn't out and we didn't know, we were just guessing. I think I might have guessed a little high and you might have guessed a little low.
Well, and I think you were trying to reference back to this sweater because it's the same designer.
Yeah.
So
we haven't purchased the Rosie sweater, but I'm just guessing it's going to be kind of similar to the way that this porcelain sweater is knit and probably has similar yardage if the construction ends up being similar.
I think we're going to try to cast them on at similar times. I don't know that we ever fully nail like exactly the same time with our cast-ons.
No.
But I think we are planning on trying to kind of knit this together-ish a little bit. So that'll be really fun. And I love the colors you picked out. So
I'm so excited. I just think this like rose motif is so beautiful. And it's been a hot minute since I've knit any color work. So I'm excited to get back into like stranded color work and yeah.
Oh, doesn't really apply here, but I thought I would mention, I saw somebody's podcast and I really wish I could remember who it was, but she was toying with the idea of instead of just one contrast color of doing two and trying to get the leaves like green with a, I don't know what her rosy color was, but it would be interesting to see if anybody does 3 colors with that motif because I think it could be possible. Not for me. I'm not a fan of color work enough to attempt that right now. I really love the look of color work, but it's not what I think I'm best at in knitting. So it won't be for me, but it would be interesting to see what people end up doing with that pattern because I think it is so pretty.
I feel like everything that designer does, just like,
it's good.
It speaks to my soul. It's so pretty.
So yeah, we're excited for the Rosie sweater. And I thought I would jump to my next plan because it is also a Knitting for Olive purchase and sweater quantity. So I'm planning on copying Jessica, and that was in the, you might have to help me out, the Northern Augustine's
number 6.
So this is going to feel a little premature here, but I am kind of sort of thinking about Christmas-ish already. It's like barely fall, but I feel like last year you knit your Christmas sweater in the fall and you were very cool and relaxed and just not stressing.
Yeah, I finished it like either late November or early December. Like I still had lots of time to wear it throughout the Christmas season.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened, but I wanted a Christmas sweater, but I didn't feel this sense of urgency to cast on until much later, and it didn't end up getting finished in time, and that's okay. But this year I do want a Christmas sweater, and I specifically want the Christmas sweater that you did last year, so I'm copying it completely. But I thought that yours was really pretty, and I liked that yours kind of had like a gingerbread-esque theme to it. So I bought the same base color, which is the Knitting for Olive Merino, held with the Soft Silk Mohair, if it wants to focus, which is kind of like a, I don't know, just a nice brown gingerbready color. I think the actual color name is Camel. Yes, that's correct. And then Jessica was very kind and gave me all of her leftover contrast colors for that pattern. So I don't know that I'll be able to tell you all of the names. I know that this is Red Currant. This might have been from a different sweater, actually, because this looks new.
I might have ordered extra for when I made my lakes pullover and given you skeins from that instead of the leftovers, but
I'll take it. It's the same.
It's the same, regardless.
I know that this is Red Currant. Yeah, let me put these aside. And then we've got this, I think this is cream.
I think so. I don't have the labels anymore, but I'm pretty sure that's cream.
I don't remember the blue.
Maybe Dove blue.
Maybe.
Not 100% sure.
And then our other contrast colors are these green and brown. Do you remember the names?
I think this is bottle green, and I think this is dark ochre. But I feel like I'm really bad at remembering color names, so I'm not going to put a lot of stock into that. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And together they make this cute little palette, which I feel like doesn't read super Christmassy, but I think in the context of the sweater, when you know that like
these are going to make little trees.
Yeah, and the blue's going to be little presents, and these are going to be little hearts and little bows.
And these are candy canes together.
Yeah, together they're candy canes. And the white makes some like snow throughout it. And
it's just cute.
Yeah.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
Cute. Okay. So yeah, it's a little funny to be talking about Christmas in September right now, but I definitely have plans to get this Christmas sweater on the needles pretty soon. Actually, I don't know how soon I'll start this, but I do kind of want to put this on the needles sooner rather than later, and then maybe take my time with it a little bit.
Yeah. I haven't figured out what I want to do for my Christmas sweater. So if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, I should probably start planning that before terribly long. The last sweater that I physically have yarn here for, the rest is in the mail, but the last one that's like actually here is this Moondrake Sari Alpaca in the color Ivory. And I'm planning to use this to make a Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit. So it's a very simple, V-neck blouse. I'm debating if I want to do the V-neck or the O-neck, but you've made the V-neck, and it's in this exact yarn. And every time you wear it, it just looks so cozy and easy to wear and just very cute and easy to style and all these things. So I think I'm just going to copy.
And it's the softest sweater.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to copy you one for one. I do think I'm playing a little bit of yarn chicken. I think I have 4 skeins of this, which is not quite enough to meet the recommended yardage, but I have used this yarn for a different sweater before, so I have a little bit extra in stash, and I think
I have some too.
Got some in stash. So I'm like, okay, between the two of us, I'm hoping that we have enough that it's like not going to be a big deal and I'll be okay to be able to finish.
I think you're really going to like it. Like, I wear that sweater so much.
Yeah. I know it's not like the most exciting thing. I feel like everybody and their mother has knit a Cumulus blouse, but I'm excited. I think it'll be good with this yarn. And like I said, I'm jealous every time you wear yours. So I'm like, I think I need one too.
I feel like our theme of fall is just copying each other.
Yeah.
The next project I have planned, I actually don't have yarn for here, but I just got a notification that it shipped yesterday. So I'm very excited that it will be here soon. And that is from our Coast to Coast order. So we both placed yarn quantities from the Coast to Coast Book Tropes 2 collection, and I got a sweater's quantity of the Red Herring DK, which is not a red color. It's a kind of what I would describe as like a pistachio green, not too far off from this.
I think this one's slightly more blue, and the Red Herring is like a little more green, but it's not that different.
They're in the same realm, I feel like. And so I've got a couple different ideas for this yarn. I'm waiting to see what it actually looks like in person. When I initially bought it, I was super inspired by this sew-in piece that I saw, or actually it's like a 2-piece set of this simple cardigan and a little tank top that goes under it. And I'm thinking that if I end up in that direction, the Copenhagen cardigan, which I already have plans for, would be a great fit for that. and then maybe the Audrey top by Sari Nordlund, which is another pattern that I've knit before. And I just feel like those two patterns lend themselves very well to the Doan inspiration piece that I found. And I am still really liking that idea. But I think that because I've been seeing you plan out your green cables and now it's getting a little bit more fallish, I'm also considering maybe doing a cable cardigan with it.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I really think if I can't make a decision, I'll definitely go with my Doan inspiration set. And I got enough yarn to make a set with it. Like I can do both a tank top and a cardigan, which I think would be so cute. I've always wanted a knitted like matching cardigan
That
and
would be
tank top
really
set.
cute.
Me, like I really have wanted that for a while. So that's probably what I'll end up with. But I don't know. There is something in the back of my mind that's like cables. I don't know. And we'll see. But I am very excited for that one. And I'm definitely planning on trying to get it cast on this fall.
I also have a few sweater quantities from that same Coast to Coast collection coming in the mail soon, so I am super excited to see those in person. But the first one that I've ordered is a sweater quantity of the Alpaca DK base in the colorway Verdant, and I'm planning to use it with the Matcha jumper by Vertknit. And Inez is the designer behind Vertknit, and we've both test knit for her and gotten to talk to her on like Instagram and stuff like that, and she's just such a sweetheart. So I'm super excited to knit this sweater, one, to support her, and also just because it looks so cozy, and I think the color is going to be absolutely perfect because based on pictures, the color that I've ordered seems to be pretty similar to the like inspiration sample photos that she has, and I love the photos of those, so I'm hoping that mine will be pretty similar, so I'm super excited about that. It looks like it's just a pretty simple stockinette sweater. It looks like it's like a drop shoulder, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't purchased the pattern yet. But once the yarn comes in, I'll probably do that pretty quickly so I can get started on swatching and see how that knits up.
To finish off my plans, I feel like we've definitely got a theme, which is like copying each other because was it just last year? It wasn't long ago. You knit the tulip loop sweater by Other Loops.
It wasn't that long. I think I
Wasn't that
finished
long
it
ago.
maybe December?
Yeah, it wasn't
I
long
have
ago.
to go back and check. I don't remember.
Jessica knit the tulip loop sweater by Other Loops in the colorway Button from Coast to Coast. And I think you held it with a mohair, right?
Yes, I held it with Marzipan by Knitting for Olive.
And
soft silk mohair in the colorway Marzipan.
yes, I am in love with it. I was like, I have to copy that. And I didn't know when I would do that, but as soon as the collection came out, I was like, now's a good time. So I ended up getting a sweater quantity for that. And I'm really just planning on probably copying you exactly. Like,
I loved mine.
I think that your gauge was a little
Mhm.
tight, but you knit the second. Is that right?
Yep.
We have plans. We know what we're doing this time.
I love that sweater. It's so
yeah. Every
so
time you
nice.
wear it, I'm just like, I need it in my life. And so, yeah, I feel like we've got several that are either like the same or inspired by pieces we've knit before. But I don't know. I really like it. And it feels very, I don't want to use the word safe, but like guaranteed. Like I know I'm going to love this so much. So
yeah. And there's something nice about working on a piece knowing you're going to like how it turns out versus having that like kind of anxiety of like, ooh, am I going to like this?
yeah. And seeing you like wear it for a couple months and knowing that you like it. And yeah, I'm very excited.
Speaking of Other Loops, I am planning to make her Braidy loop sweater in the second sweater quantity of yarn that I ordered from the Coast to Coast collection. So I ordered a sweater quantity in just the regular DK of the Let the Trials Begin colorway, which looks to be this like kind of like stony blue color that I'm really excited about. And so I'm hoping to make the Braidy loop sweater with it since I think having the cable details down the sides mixed with the like kind of wider rib look will be really fun to knit and something that'll be like pretty easy to style and wear this winter and fall. And I do love knitting with DK weights. Like I think it's just like a good, fun weight to knit with. So I think having a couple of different projects in DK this winter will just be really nice and cozy. So I haven't like swatched or anything since I'm still waiting for the yarn to come in, but I am excited to do that once it comes in and start, you know, playing around and seeing how I like the like natural DK versus the alpaca DK and all that good stuff. So hopefully I'll have time to knit all of these things this fall. This feels pretty ambitious, but we shall see.
I think those are all of our knitting plans. So we wanted to say thank you so much for being here. But if you want to stick around for just a minute, I do have a tiny life update that will not take long, but I thought I'd share it with everybody. We have a new member of the family. This is Margot. She's very tiny compared to our other cat. She's a little bit wiggly. I don't know if she wants to be held right now. But she is so sweet and tiny, and we are just very excited to have her.
Your other cat is so big. She's so little in comparison.
No. The first time we got her, she immediately crawled under the couch, and we were like, oh, we didn't know that was an option because Conan would never have fit under the couch. So we're learning, we're adjusting to her personality. She's a lot more shy than our other cat, and we're just loving on her and excited to welcome her into our family.
Yeah, I'm excited for when she finally gets acclimated and you can introduce her to Conan. And
yeah, she has not met our other cat yet. We're letting them definitely get used to each other's smells and the idea of their presence before we actually do any introductions.
But she's a sweetheart.
Sweet, sweet girl. So thank you, Margot. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much if you've made it this far. We really appreciate you joining us, and hopefully you make good progress on whatever project it is that you're working on. But if you're making any of these patterns that we talked about today, please let us know. We'd love to hear about what your yarn combos you're using or anything like that, or if you have any other fall plans that you're excited about going into this season. We would love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.